So I'm Eduardo Fichmann from Cellnex Telecom. I'm based here in Spain, and I look after what Cellnex calls innovation and product strategy. So we're trying to think about the future of this industry and how we can help our customers, the mobile operators, to take it to the next level. So I'm going to give you a bit of a background of Cellnex, how we started on this project, a bit about the project, as well as next steps and our vision for the next few years. So in terms of Cellnex, just to recap for some of you that might not be aware, Cellnex is one of the leading telecommunications infrastructure providers in Europe. We started many years ago in Spain providing broadcasting services, and we now run a portfolio of 130,000 towers across Europe. And in addition to the towers, we play in DASs, in small cells, and so forth and so on. So the tower industry has proved to us that we can help the operators reduce costs, reduce OPEX and CAPEX, and extend the footprint. And that's why we jumped on this project. So about a year ago, probably more, 2 years ago, the regulator in France, they came to us and they said, listen, millimeter wave spectrum is going to become available soon. How do we make sure that we bring the total operating cost and we learn how to do it, and we get into millimeter wave on the right foot, right? So we really start well, and the regulator has invited us to do it. So effectively, Paris La Défense, the iconic business district in France, is the perfect playground to test millimeter wave. You know, I have here some of the elements here, but before I go in, I wanted to share a bit of a video with you to really get a bit of the perspective of what that is. Can you please play the video? Yeah, so as you can see in the video, Paris La Défense is a very wide square in the financial district. You could see protests happening there with thousands of people. You could envisage office workers coming out or lunch breaks to enjoy telecommunications, as well as many other events in that square. You have a shopping center next door, the rail. So when we really think about the project, Cellnex really partnered with Paris La Défense, which is the authority there, to deploy the 5G millimeter wave as an ultra-host network. So it is important because 5G millimeter wave is not widely adopted, and we really wanted to learn how to make it, as someone else mentioned earlier, more cost-effective. So we did this project to really validate the neutral host model, as well as to transform the square and try to demonstrate the benefit of the technology that my colleagues from Qualcomm and Ericsson have discussed today. In terms of the project, there's a lot to learn. Again, we always undermine telecommunications, the deployment. You know, there are some learning that we had along the way. The challenges around doing an NSA versus SA. You know, the reality around having an anchor band as an example. The size of the radio being relative to the normal 5G heavier. So there were some structures that we couldn't really deploy the radio because it was too heavy. So first we really think about where and how to deploy. The requirements around fiber and a few other elements, but we really had a very exciting deployment in Paris La Défense. As you can see here, some of the images. I'm not going to talk about the technology itself. The key element here is the benefit. How do we go into this generation of technology in a cost-effective way? A bit of the testing, how it's enabling very high speeds, very high throughput, how it's helping us understand coverage challenges, some of the elements that Christian was mentioning earlier, eye of sight versus non-eye of sight, what happens when you have a tree between the radios, the dynamic of that square. We've been playing with that as well with Qualcomm to understand how to increase the throughput, how to improve the performance. And ultimately, our objective with this project is to really think about how do we take to the next level. For us, next steps, a key one is we have one of the MNOs who is trialing and testing and thinking about the integration at the moment. We are welcoming a second MNO to come and join. So hopefully by later this year, we're going to have a true neutral host. And in addition to that, we are looking to deploy, we have already deployed, but to share that neutral host with a private network. So a few use cases around private networks. So ultimately, we see this as a combination of public and private in some locations, the convergence of those two, allowing municipalities to not deploy in every single corner 3 or 4 radios, right? 1 for each MNO. That's important for the city. It's actually critical for the city. That's what they wanted. They wanted to make sure that we can learn from that. And there are many types of other venues that we can see the benefits of mmWave, as Christian just discussed. High footfall locations. Right? Cellnex operates telecommunication infrastructure in many stadiums at the moment in Europe, in airports, in squares, in shopping centers. And we are hoping that this project is giving us so much learning that we can expedite and we can make the deployment of the MNOs more cost-effective and quicker. We are now already doing field tests and studies to deploy mmWave in other locations, and the learning has really expedited the process, and that's why Cellnex is doing that at the moment. I will finish here. Thank you everyone for listening to us, and I look forward to the next project.